G'day folks, how you going? Coach Neil back again, and what I've decided to do is make this into a 6-part series. Excuse me, because after I rattled off the other one, I've sat back and taken a look at it and I thought, well, what do people want to know, and how can I, deliver that information without it being a, great big, massive, long single video? So I've decided to break it into 6 parts. So the previous one we call part 1, which is how to prevent and protect yourself. All right, how to prevent infection and protect yourself against the infection if you get it. And so what we're going to do now is part 2, and then we'll have 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. So part 2 is who is at risk and why. So are you at risk, for example, and if so, why are you at risk? So what I'm talking about there is what's going on within your body that makes you in a risk category. All right. So that's part 2. I'm going to do that now. All right. Part 3 will be how to boost your immune system naturally. Part 4 will be about natural antiviral foods, herbs, spices, botanicals that you can include in your diet that will increase your body's ability to fight a virus should you contract it. All right. Part 5, what was I going to do in part 5? Hang on a sec, let me check. Sometimes I need notes. All right. Part 5, how to reduce systemic inflammation in the body. All right. So all illness and disease creates inflammation. In this case, the inflammation created by the SARS coronavirus. All right. So sorry, SARS-CoV-2, which is COVID-19, which is the coronavirus illness. All right. Systemic inflammation is what occurs in that instance. All right. And that's what prevents the alveoli in the lungs from transferring oxygen to the blood. All right. So part 5 will be how to reduce systemic inflammation. All right. And then part 6 will be how to treat yourself naturally and recover fast if you do get this fucking thing. All right. Oh, I was going to try not to swear in this video. I only swore once in the last one. G'day guys, how you doing? Okay, cool. So this is part 2. All right. So part 2 is who is at risk of severe critical illness and why. Okay. So like we talked about before, and like you should know by now, 80% of people are really at low risk. It's mild disease in those people, and those people will not need hospitalization, advanced medical treatment. They will self-isolate at home, just take care of themselves as if treating a traditional virus, which we know this isn't, but treatment is the same if you stay at home, which is manage your fever. If you have to, you can take painkillers, anti-inflams if you want to. I never would, because I'm a natural health guy, obviously, but it's not up to me to tell you what to do. All I'm going to do is deliver information. You decide yourself what you want to do with that information. All right. So you'll stay at home, self-recover over 10 to 14 days, you'll be fine. That's 80% of people, all right? But the other 20% are at risk. About 5% are at risk of critical, and 14, 16% are at risk of severe, all right? Which means you will be in hospital, and if you're critical, you will be in ICU, all right? You'll be isolated, you'll be bloody well covered in plastic and shit, People will be coming in and out with great big masks and suits on. It won't be happy days at all. All right. So the people at risk are, at the moment, people over 50, up to obviously 70, 80, 90. 70 to 80 is the major critical category. All right, and of course over 80, but people at that age are expected to be in a severe or critical risk. Okay. So from 50 to 60 to 70, why are those people in danger? You know what, to be honest, the longer you've been on this planet, the more systemic inflammation you're going to have in your body, number 1. The lower your immune system is going to function anyway, all right? Number 2, you probably have a lower white blood cell count, which is your immune army, okay? So that's why the over 50 are more at risk, okay? Not necessarily because of the magic number, it's just because the longer you've been on this planet, the more likely you are to have a body that is not at its peak, okay? Which means an immune system that's not at its peak and more likely of developing a serious illness and disease, okay? So that's the first part. The age group, okay? The second part is anybody with a pre-existing illness, or what we call a comorbidity, all right, which is present before you contract this virus, okay? So anyone with heart disease, anyone with high blood pressure, anyone with high cholesterol, anyone with diabetes, anyone with any lung disorder, respiratory illness, obviously, they're more at risk because you're already struggling to breathe, all right? And then you've got this virus on top of it, which affects the lungs and prevents the oxygen transfer to the blood, which means bigger problem, all right? And then also anyone with an anyone with immunodeficiency, so a suppressed immune system. So that would be anyone with an autoimmune disorder, anyone that's had chemoradiation therapy and they're in remission from cancer, because now your natural defences are low, all right? And what was the other one? I've forgotten. Anyway, that happens sometimes. I'll come back to it if I remember. Oh, sorry, no, that was it. Anyone with any pre-existing gut issue, All right, so if you've got leaky gut, if you've got candida, if you've got SIBO, if you've got IBS, you've got any of those conditions, you're also at risk. And the reason being is because if you've got a gut illness of any type or any kind, then you automatically have a weakened microbiome, a weakened digestive system. You won't assimilate and absorb nutrition from your diet as well. And by default, you will have immunodeficiency, even if you don't know it and it hasn't been diagnosed and you're not being treated for anything like that. All right? How do you know that? How do you know I'm not talking absolute rubbish? All right, well, you've got a white blood count, all right? Your white blood cells are your immune army, okay? You can go, doctors, get a test, all right? If your white blood count's low and you've got, immunodeficiency, all right? You may not be exhibiting symptoms, you may not have a disease or illness, but if a virus attacks you, you've got less chance to fight it, all right? Now, going back to the comorbidity, so if you've got any of these things pre-existing in your body and you get this virus on top, then what happens is you've got an immune army, all right? If you're already fighting something within your body all day, every day, if it's a chronic illness, then army's over here fighting this, all right? So that army over there, so the army's been split, all right? This is all that's left to fight the new virus when it comes in, okay? This one over here is busy. Right, so these guys are at half strength, and that's not a proven number. I'm just giving you an example, all right? I'm making a point, all right? So if you've only got half of your immune army available to fight against a virus when it attacks, because this half over here is taking care of your pre-existing conditions, trying to fight that, then you're obviously going to be less efficacious in your ability to affect and neutralize and kill and eradicate and get rid of a virus, all right? So basically, your immune system is being taxed from different sides. You only have so many white blood cells. You only have so many natural killer cells, right? Natural killer cells are T cells, which are produced in response to a viral threat. So T cells, natural killer cells, are specific to viruses, okay? So they activate when you get attacked by a virus, and the natural killer cells will literally destroy the virus, all right? Whereas B cells, B lymphocytes, which are another part of the immune system, will create the antibody that prevents against the virus, okay? So natural killer cells kill it. B cells produce the antibodies, so it can't replicate and no more of it can affect you, all right? So if you have got any pre-existing condition that is splitting your strength of your immune system between different illnesses, different threats, then of course you're going to have more risk of this one, the coronavirus, becoming severe or critical, and particularly if you're older, because again, the older you are, the lower the white blood cell count is going to be, the lower your immunity, okay, the more susceptible you are to serious illness and disease. All right. So at the end of the day, if you are in any of those categories, you have any of those. Actually, let me talk about the categories. All right. So if you've got a respiratory condition of any kind now, then of course you're already struggling to uptake oxygen at its capacity. Normally we should have about 98% oxygen saturation, which means each cell of the body, each cell of the red blood cells should have 98% oxygen. All right. In these conditions, in these instances, severe ARDS, coronavirus, pneumonia, or whatever, it may drop below, well, I think like 94 is the point where they say it's like, dangerous, and then under 90, fucking severe, critical, So let's say you've got, some sort of lung condition at the moment, respiratory condition, bronchitis, COPD, all right? So already your oxygen saturation is lower. If you're a smoker, if you live in a polluted area, I didn't mention that before, but that goes without saying, surely, all right? If you're a smoker, you obviously have a lower lung oxygen uptake, all right? So any of those conditions, you've already got less oxygen you can use, and then you've got this coronavirus comes in, and that attacks you, inflames your lungs and steals oxygen from you even more so. So obviously you are then going dramatically quickly from your safe oxygen saturation to below safe. All right. So that's lung disorders. If you've got something like diabetes, right? Diabetes means you've got high blood sugar. So what that does, it actually slows down the rate of your ability of your white blood cells to travel through the blood to where they're needed to go to attack the virus. All right. And also obviously your metabolic, your mitochondria, your body's engine is just not running smoothly because you've got high blood sugar and you're not taking sugar into the cells. All right. So I mean, look, I could go on, obviously, but I think you've got the picture, right? So basically, any pre-existing condition that you've got is going to subtract from your ability to fight a new threat once it comes in, okay? So at the end of the day, you want to have those any pre-existing condition under control. Now, I mean, obviously, chronic illness and disease, it's not necessarily under control, it's just treated, whereas obviously that's what I do. I mean, I help people reverse and heal from chronic illness and disease. So you get rid of that illness and disease, and then that threat's gone, and then you've got all of your immune system, all of your white blood cells, all your natural killer cells ready to attack any new threat, all right? So at the end of the day, obviously you can't just switch off your pre-existing conditions overnight, but please, 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 be more mindful of how you treat your body and do more of the right stuff more often, because you all know what to do, all right? So don't kid yourselves. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to eat healthy. Oh, I didn't know I should drink water and not Coke. Oh, I didn't know I shouldn't smoke. I didn't know I shouldn't eat fucking pizza and chips. All right? Everybody knows this stuff, all right? Now, where we stand now, if you do have a worry or a risk, pre-existing condition, you're in a risk category, you need to be more diligent in your natural, day-to-day, healthy lifestyle routine. Okay, so do more of the right things more often, less of the bad things. And I shouldn't say bad because, I mean, they're not necessarily bad, but less of the fun stuff, and more of the healthy stuff. All right. Now, just touching on that also, I mean, those people are at risk, but what about the rest of us who really aren't at risk? I mean, we could all catch it, but we're not going to get severely ill, okay? We'll fight it off, may even not get symptomatic in some cases. Those of us that do may just get a mild version, which, just a little bit of fever, a little bit of headache, a little bit of scratchy throat. We won't get the shortness of breath. We won't get that stuff because it's not going to get to our lungs and cause that inflammation, all right? But those of us that are healthy, so to speak, I think we actually have a moral duty to keep our immunity up so that we don't contract it, even if we are, healthy, because we can still spread it. We can still be symptomatic. So we might not get sick, but we can still pass it on to others. So it's really our moral duty to keep our immunity as high as possible so that we become part of what you call a herd of immune people. So when you talk about vaccinations, which I'm not even going to touch on because this vaccine's 12 to 18 months away, so forget about it, right? But in vaccinated populations, they talk about herd immunity. Herd immunity is where so many people are vaccinated that if some people get the disease, they can't spread it because the people around them are vaccinated. They've got this immunity. And that's what our strong immune systems do for us. They give us a natural herd immunity. Now, there is no immunity to this virus, okay? It's brand new. But those of us that have strong immune systems will quickly eradicate it and create the antibodies. Our natural killer cells will destroy it. Our B cells will produce the antibodies and we'll be fine, all right? Then we don't risk catching it. Then we won't risk spreading it to others. All right, so the faster we eradicate it, neutralise it, get it out of the body, the faster, the better we prevent others around us and in our community from catching it. All right, so at the end of the day, take care of yourself, take care of your immune system. Don't be an idiot if you've got a pre-existing condition, because now is the time for you to step up and start doing all the right things. All right, folks, see you in part 3. Cheers.